Finally, I checked out the original source of one of the first anime that I watched. That I know the word anime. As you can see from the thumbnail and the title, I finally got around to play Steins. Well, it was a long time ago that I watched anime of it. So I tried seeing what foreshadowing there was, and little by little I remember story beats. Steins is the second game in Science Adventure series after Chaos Ed. Each game has its own story, but of course they share same universe. I read somewhere that Eden government is connected to Chaos at Steins Gate and the following games in this series, but can't find that info. What did I find? I don't know. There is legit info I didn't know. Well, I guess I'll say about that when I play following Science Adventure series games. It doesn't change the story of each game, at least as far as I have played. Of course, this video will have spoilers for Steins Gate. Maybe a little bit of Chaos Ed. Well, you can see reference to Chaos Ed if you have played it, like the character mentioned Fez and Earthbound Phantasm, and here on TV in the background. By the way, before playing this, I wanted to play Chaos Ed now, which is an ancient version of Chaos Ed. Or someone said Chaos Ed was a demo version, but with the main point of the story intact. Was realized to see if there was interest in it. Then, Chaos Ed now was released year later. While I was in the process of playing Steins Gate and trying to bullet points, Spike changed up at plans to release Chaos Ed not on Steam, but Valve didn't allow it unless it would be censored. When on Steam there are games like this, cash grabs and other low quality games. Because of community outrage, it will be released on Steam. But people are saying official translation locations is bad. I guess it's same kind of locations that it was in original Chaos Ed that I have video on. Of course, I installed a patch that I found on Visual Novel database. However, I had some problems with it. If you open the patch launcher first, it will open the game launcher, and the game launcher will open the game and the patch launcher. Still, the game launcher will open the patch launcher and game when you run the game from Steam. I'm leaning to that the patch is opening the command prompt for a few seconds. I had problems with pressing onwards in the font email to reply. I'm thinking the patch only changed the placement to text in the font so I can read from the font better, but the hitbox supports stayed in the place or whatever it is. However, I also played in Twitter mode to close the patch launcher when it opens. Maybe I should try sharing a shorter story. No, I don't think that works, but I was not like how I did when I shared the Toki Toki Literature Club story. Angebe Rentaro and his friends accidentally made a time machine from microphone, phone and CRT-TV, which can only send emails to the past, but because Angebe thinks he only has the ability which he names reading standard to notify its portland chains, remembering the email that was about Korisu sent to Taru while Taru's phone was connected to microphones, starts sending emails to the past. Angebe finds out that the portland needs to be returned to normal, where the story started. In the game, player input a punch drag and in-game phone.
Ending changes vary how much through ending flags there. If 0, then you get majority ending. If some, then good is ending. All, of course, through ending. Other endings happen when you don't send specific emails. Name for email sent to the past. Other than that, other characters are sending emails to you, and you can reply to them or not. While some of those emails activate the through ending flag. Also, other characters are calling to you, which you can answer or ignore. Mostly it just changes dialogue. At least one through ending flag is behind the email chain. With the other reply you can make progress to achievement if not get that achievement. Either focus on that achievement or through ending. You can get both in single playthrough.
What happens when you skip text?
It stops as the phone triggers. As in, skipping stops to allow you to reply or ignore email call. This is turned on by default. In options you can turn on so you can skip past the phone triggers. Occupying or in coma is the main character of the story. After attending to listen to time travel presentations, he hears scream and then runs to the direction. Then sees Curtis lying in a pool of blood. Lastly, Occupy sends an email to Terry saying someone stopped Curtis. While Terry was experimenting with time machine, which at the time was known it was time machine. Name found fame, name shops check to check. Email was sent to the past which made four-line change. Of course, at the time, Occupy didn't know about four-line change, and he can't remember the previous four-line. He was surprised when it seemed everybody disappeared. Occupy is the first member of Photo Catcher Club. Major Sheena, Occupy's childhood friend. What the fuck, why he you make it like the third science and create it like that. Major Sheena, Occupy's childhood friend, who works part-time at Making Nana. Except in one faculty which was observed by Occupy. She is second member of Photo Catcher Lab. When her grandmother died when she was 11 years old, Major entered a state of PTSD. That causes that ear to be unable to talk to others. Occupy started calling himself as a mad scientist and made Majority is on stage and in the queues. Introudced Arthur, third member of Photo Catcher Lab, who is a super hacker for accent fit, which they found out that they forget on time machine. Way longer than what was announced so the public or time machine experiment was unpublished to public, but project that is using same technology. He is obsessed with more culture and he is to the favorites. Just calling reels from anime games and other regional media as to the favorites. Plus, he is big fan of fairies. Corizo Makise. For become forward club member while the story was in progress, and only on alpha 4 lines. She was stayed on beta 4 lines. She helped making a time machine from a phone thing, but at first she didn't believe it was a time machine. Helped it so she can prove it isn't a time machine. Later in the story, found they was updated to a time machine, with knowledge that Curry said. Mayaka Kirchhoff becomes with lab member, who has trouble talking with other people and also emails to talk with others. However, in Alpha Portland, it's revealed that she works for Science as rounder. For now, someone other than a lab member. You got the notion. Others occupy calls him Mr. Brandt, who is owner of Brandt Food Shop. This is a CRTTV show. Also, it is landed of Occupy's lab, which is on second floor, top of the brown top workshop. Later in the story, it's revealed he is a leader of hunters. Plus, he is a doctor, night and noche, who is scared of Occupy. However, in some Portland, she a time leaped from the path forward. Olga Oroshiraba, friend and classmate of Mayuri, with feminine appearance for helps with Yanaki Bayashi's shrine. But he is okay, except in some alpha Portlands, where your mother ate more vegetables instead of me. Before sending a email to his mother's pager to change his gender, he becomes his slum member. Where is now our real name? Romeo Akea. He is a part-time and owner of May Queen Nana. She has wealthy background where she influenced Akira to anime games and more, and more that kind of jobs in it. She became 7th club member when she wanted to send email to her father to save him, which changed to Portland where Akea opera stayed with electronic shops in it. In this Portland, she attended the Reinet as a spoiler sport game official tournament. So I operated in Introudced. So Amne is a time travel for game from future where in Alpha Portland they finished completed the time machine, with which they made a dystopia. She time traveled back to the past to help Occupy to find IPN 5100, so Occupy can return Portland back to better Portland. Also, she is a further daughter of Terror. In the better Portland, in the true ending, she time travels from the future, not because they made dystopia, but for World 3 because of time travel paper. Of course, she also is a future daughter of Darwin's storyline. Only in Alpha Portland, her time machine was broken, and either way she would fail getting IP and 5000 under it Alpha Portland when she went further back into the past. Now more details about some stuff which I might be repeating. Fun fact. Named subject to change. Like I mentioned before, was supposed to be remote controlled microwave by Calling Kid, but accidentally was created to be a time machine. At start only was possible to send emails. Email, for short for DeLorean mail. Emails sent to post. Only up to 3D6 bytes were allowed to be sent. And at the reservoir it will be split out to 3 messages. Time leap machine. Upgraded phone vent, where it scans memories of others and compresses memories to 3D6 byte limit, and is transferred by phone call. It can be used up to 48 hours per leap, and only when you use the same number and phone nearby. Of course, you can leap before that time leap machine was built. Well, maybe up to 48 hours, or less than that. Said, equal to real life silent, but with S. Is an antagonist coordination in Steins head, which is correctly at working on time machine. And on Alpha Fortnite by 2036 out time version technology completed. And with that, they created dystopia, where they control everybody. Runners, team of mercenaries who works in shadows to do taskly assignations in Science Adveture. However, later in the story, it's relevant runners completing the mission, saying that they took creeps and secret elites. That was for the case, finding IP and 5100 full for supposed to be in Akihabara. Committee of the Adventure. Secret of the 300 members will five which play attendance groups in all Science Adventure series. At least what I read on front page. The plan is to read so many details 1 billion. Same thing about front page. So what is in I can't remember if it was mentioned in Chaos or in Steins. Hotlines. Most story happens in the alpha hotlines. Occupy reached it until 11 is our Corizo stopped in beta hotlines.
Now foreshadowing that I noticed because I watched anime. Only I can remember one, or maybe two. Well, I wrote polling points, but I guess not enough polling points. When Occupy it a scream at the start of the game, it sounded like Occupy's voice, but muffled. For the weird Stein player who didn't watch the anime, it might make them to think it's resource saving. Only in a way it is, but that isn't the case. Never mind. Another foreshadowing. Monkey is straight talking to Occupy, and that for sure Occupy talking to Corizo in beta hotline. In the true ending, it was revealed it was Occupy voice screamed when he tried to say Corizo. I was wondering why the voice wasn't recognized. Sure, it was far away, and because of that it was muffled. But I recognized it, and also implied for went into it without prior knowledge would recognize. If you record your voice and play it back, you would hear your voice differently. That could be the reason why Occupy didn't recognize it. But what about Mayuri? Later in story it's revealed she isn't the smart girl. In the start of chapter 1, Occupy broke the fourth wall. But afterwards it was revealed Occupy played a game where you talking to a mic and see the reactions of the game's character, like for a yo Pikachu. In that case, was that the fourth wall breaking moment or not? Pawn is also when the data appears on the screen, either by clicking on it or middle mouse button. You can access it, but in some cases, even when it shows on screen, you can't use it, because Occupy's inside fall in story. First, Steins Gate is mentioned early in the game by Occupy. Occupy chose those words because they mean nothing. Further, Occupy named the fourth line between alpha and beta lines as Steins Gate. That fourth line is unobserved and neither sentence to me happens nor for one three breaks us in it. When I watched the Steins Gate anime, I found about Dr. Pepper, which is actual soft drink. Game also have it, only in English text, it's called Dr. P. In image, it's called Dr. People, but in Japanese voiceover, it's called Dr. Pepper.
頭脳労働の後のドクターペッパーは相変わらず最高にうまいな。
Now, about phone name subject change. Only as a chapter found ending, it was figured out that the phone base was a time machine. In some cases, Occupy talks about email as if it isn't read, when player will read that email. There are only 6 pages to save, or 48 save slots. If I counted right, looks like it was enough, but I didn't save at the point that triggers. Later I don't save visual novels at this choice, because I chose an easier option. Under the first playthrough of visual novel was great.
It's better to read it before watching anime. I don't know about reading it immediately after watching anime. Of course, after some time you can read it as a visual novel after watching anime, but also I had some knowledge of Chaos. So then, if understand anime you play Chaos at, then you can play Steins game. Well, don't touch Chaos at anime. No, just don't. It's anime that's bad, with bad pacing or something like that. Chaos, it was about delusions become realities, and thanks to Chaos at main character, founding equations, Davis was made with which delusions can become reality. Steins Gate was about the time traveling and changing worldlines. By the way, when the worldline changes, it is said that everyone's memories of the previous worldline is erased and no worldline memories yet, except for OKP, not like traveling to parallel world or to different time like so far. Well, at least in this entry it isn't fully explained. Worldlines don't happen parallel. There's only one worldline at that time. In one ending, Corisius speculated that worldlines happen parallel when Occupy didn't change worldlines. I guess the video will be like this. I guess in a way it will be another practice video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave like on it, subscribe and comment. See you next time.